that was Michael Jackson, and I'm Whoopi Goldberg. And what you just saw was just 60 seconds of what is really a 17-minute miracle of a movie called Captain EO. Now, what other modern-day motion picture experience can you think of that is produced by George Lucas, directed by Francis Coppola, stars Michael Jackson, was made at the Walt Disney Studios, and is in 3D? Captain EO is that movie. History is being made with this very special film, which can only be seen in 2 theaters in the whole universe. One at Walt Disney World in Florida, and the other at Disneyland in California. Now, just in case you're wondering why I am sitting here telling you about this movie that I'm not in, to make a long story short, Michael Jackson and several other people were sitting around trying to figure out who was going to tell you about this. But since Michael couldn't do it and they couldn't do it, because, you know, Michael's working on the album, folks at Disney got Disneyland to work, they figured, well, let's hire someone who doesn't have that much to do. So Michael called me and said, Whoopi, look, how'd you like to do me a big favor? I said, what do you want? You know, I taught you how to dance. I taught you how to sing. What do you want? And he said to me, I need you to take folks on a special trip behind the scenes to show them just how Captain EO was made. So I said, okay. The story begins with the captain and his crew on board their spaceship as they journey to a faraway world. Now, after bungling his last mission, this is EO's only chance to redeem himself in the eyes of his boss, Commander Bog. EO is joined by his loyal, sometimes competent crew of oddball characters, like the 2 robots called Major and Minor Domo, the flying little furry fuzzball guy named Fuzzball, and the 3-legged, 2-headed, very grouchy thing called Geeks, and Hooter, the funniest and hungriest elephant to explode on the screen since Dumbo. Their mission is to use Captain EO's powers of music and light to overthrow the evil witch queen who rules her world with an iron fist. Or should we say, iron claws? Now, who thinks up these adventures in the first place? Well, meet the Imagineers, the guys at Disney who must have the best jobs in the world. They're actually paid to just sit around and come up with outrageous ideas. For Captain EO, they first had to create an adversary for Michael Jackson's character.
It just seemed that kind of a nightmare industrial world would be a good kind of environment for Michael to play against, because they're so completely at opposites to each other. So I started thinking about the way a world might look if industrialism and fascism and a lot of other unpleasant things had all somehow melded together into sort of an out-of-control, kind of a gray, awful society.
The next challenge was designing characters so vulnerable, so childlike, so playful, that inserting them into this obviously threatening environment would create instant visual tension.
Disney chairman Michael Eisner began assembling his creative team, starting with Michael Jackson.
You know, Michael Jackson is a Disney aficionado. Knows more about Walt Disney than anybody that ever existed. Certainly knows more than I do. And we called up and we said, Michael, would you like to do something with the parts? He said, definitely, but only if you can get George Lucas to protect me.
George Lucas is everybody's ideal producer. He's legendary for getting involved in every detail. In Captain EO, he was involved with everything from the creation of the characters to the planning of Captain EO's fight sequences.
He immediately sort of goes to the Queen, and she sends the Niche Warriors out, and then he transforms the Niche Warriors, and then the Queen, and then turns around and transforms all the troops.
Who could be more qualified to take Michael Jackson into outer space than the creator of Star Wars, with its special effects, eccentric robots, and strange alien creatures?
So then we got Michael Jackson and George Lucas, and they both said, well, we need a director that is without equal. And we went right to Francis Coppola.
While most people associate Francis Coppola with such dramatic epics as Apocalypse Now and The Godfather, Francis also loves music and has directed several musicals like Finian's Rainbow, One from the Heart, and The Cotton Club. Well, Francis may love music, but no one ever said he could sing.
Old EO had some light. EO, EO, EO. With the light, he brought some color. EO, EO, EO.
Of course, singing and dancing is what Michael Jackson is all about. The whole world has been watching and listening to Michael for most of his life as he's grown before our eyes from child star to superstar. So, with Michael Jackson, George Lucas, and Francis Coppola ready to make Captain EO, the creation of the sets for The Dark Planet began. There wasn't much time because of everyone's busy schedule, so the construction crew had to work really fast. Amazing, isn't it? You know, this is the way they'd like to see all movies made in Hollywood. Faster. Being the pros they are, the crew got it done with time to spare. So, with the sets built, filming began. We went behind the scenes on stage number 9, where the top secret production of Captain EO took place. Faster than you can say action, Captain EO finds himself in deep space and in deep trouble. In a fit of hunger, Hooter, the perky pachyderm, has accidentally eaten all the star maps, so the ship is hopelessly lost. While the crew searches for any signs of the Dark Planet, Captain EO is beginning to worry because once again his reputation is on the line. The captain knows that he and the crew are always under the watchful eye of Commander Bogg, played by Dick Shawn.
Captain EO!
Oh, my. Cold cuts. Cold cuts in the spaceship. Looks like a pig pen. This is a spaceship, not a delicatessen.
You know the rules. No hot dogs in space.
Breaking the hot dog rule is the least of Captain EO's worries when they're attacked by enemy spaceships. The good news is that they must be in the neighborhood of the Dark Planet. The bad news is it's a lousy neighborhood. The captain and his crew are forced to fly through the treacherous trench city on the surface of the Dark Planet.
Going through! No! I need the sound guardian.
Now, everybody knows you can't really zoom off to other planets just yet, so make-believe spaceships have to be built. And in this case, Captain EO's 20-ton spaceship is really being tossed and turned by one Hollywood guy operating a hydraulic pump. Of course, even Hollywood magic has its limits, like when the multi-million-dollar production was brought to a screeching halt because of a $100 hose which sprang a leak on Captain EO's spaceship. Now, we saw what it looked like inside. This is what it looks like on the outside. Models like this are pretty much like the ones you can make yourself from a kit. These models